Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Yashodanandana Braja Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Sweetness. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari. Yashodhanandana Braja Ranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Sri Radhe Jaya Radha Kalasanji Sri Radhe Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Shri Radha Kalashanji ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. If we can do the invocation verses together, both Sanskrit and English, please. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which the very means of conquest, one should offer the obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan, the Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayasha breshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utama sloke bhaktir bhavati daistaki. By regular attendance on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the one of those troublesome within the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyantimarandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshuranmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes, and I opened knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Okay, if we could please turn to Canto 5, chapter 20, and we'll be reading through 34 through 46. Not too many verses. So if somebody wants to grab that microphone, and let's go.
Thereafter beyond the ocean of sweet water and fully surrounding it is a mountain named Loka Loka, which divides the countries that are full of sunlight from those not lit by the sun.
Beyond the ocean of sweet water is a tract of land as broad as the area between the middle of Mount Sumeru and the boundary of Manasotara Mountain. In that tract of land, there are many living beings. Beyond it, extending to Loka Loka Mountain, is another land, which is made of gold. Because of its golden surface, it reflects light like the surface of a mirror, and any physical article that falls on that land can never be perceived again. All living entities, therefore, have abandoned that golden land.
Wow.
Between the lands inhabited by living entities and those that are uninhabited stands the great mountain which separates the two and which is therefore celebrated as Loka Loka.
By the supreme will of Krishna, the mountain known as Loka Loka has been installed as the outer border of the three worlds, Bhurloka, Bhuvarloka, and Swarloka, to control the rays of the sun throughout the universe. All the luminaries from the sun up to Dhruvaloka distribute their rays throughout the three worlds, but only within the boundary formed by this mountain. Because it is extremely high, extending even higher than Dhruvaloka, it blocks the rays of the luminaries, which therefore can never extend beyond it.
Learned scholars who are free from mistakes, illusions, and propensities to cheat have thus described the planetary systems and their particular symptoms, measurements, and locations. With great deliberation, they have established the truth that the distance between Sumeru and the mountain known as Loka Loka is 1/4 of the diameter of the universe, or, in other words, 125 million yojanas, 1 million billion miles.
On the top of Loka Loka mountain are the four Gajapatis, the best of elephants, which were established in the four directions by Lord Brahma, the supreme spiritual master of the entire universe. The names of those elephants are Rishabha, Pushkarachuda, Vamana, and Aparajita. They are responsible for maintaining the planetary systems of the universe.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master for all transcendental opulences and master of the spiritual sky. He is the Supreme Person, Bhagavan, the super soul of everyone. The demigods led by Indra, the king of heaven, are entrusted with seeing to the affairs of the material world, to benefit all living beings in all varied planets and to increase the power of those elephants and of the demigods. The Lord manifests himself on top of the mountain in spiritual body, uncontaminated by the modes of material nature. Surrounded by his personal expansions and assistants like Vishwakshena, he exhibits all his perfect opulences such as religion and knowledge, and his mystic powers such as Anima, Lagima, and Mahima. He is beautifully situated and he is decorated by the different weapons in his four hands.
So, just stop there for a second. There's these powerful elephants, right? The king of heaven, getting this perspective of what the material universe looks like. And sometimes it can be quite disturbing for people to hear about stuff like this. And why is that? Well, when we grow up, we go to school, and our teachers are giving us a perspective of what the material universe looks like. So they're giving us a diagram within our, do you ever remember making the diagrams of with the suns in the middle and it turns like this, And so we have in our head this perspective or this way we see things being created. And so when it gets disturbed by some other information or knowledge, then it can cause conflict, right? What's going on here? Wait a minute, I heard this and this. And then we hear something from the Vedas or the Srimad Bhagavatam about these kinds of things that are really far out there, and it really can be like, what the heck is going on, But I'd like you to take a moment to think about, what if we were taught from our teachers from the very beginning that this was what the creation was? What would the building of what are the perspective of how we look at the universe, how different would it be? Matter of fact, it would be pretty cool, huh? You hear so many far out things. So I guess my encouragement is to try to understand that we're getting our perspective of the universe or the creation by people who are so small and infinitesimal, and they have such small understanding of the total creation, and so they're just doing their best from this small perspective. However, the Vedas come from a top-down system where the perspective of knowing everything is already there. And so Srila Prabhupada would often encourage scientists that it's okay you want to do science. That's natural. That's good. But why don't you do it from the perspective of the Vedas and then see what you can prove true and what you can't prove is true, So I just want to mention this with the sense that for the last few chapters we've been talking about these far out explanations of the universe and how the creation and these things, and it's important to understand that we're being given a picture that could be, if I was to explain the picture of the universe from our American education system to somebody who is in a remote island and has no formal education process, and I started telling them about what we think of the universe, what would their perspective be? They're like, what are you talking about? Like, this is weird, They might even give us some kind of cultural background about how the universe is made from their perspective, right? We can see that there's different, we're being educated in these different ways, and they're all short because of being taught by conditioned souls, except for the Vedic perception. It's understood that it's coming down from a top-down system. Okay, let's continue, please.
The various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such as Narayan and Vishnu, are beautifully decorated with different weapons. The Lord exhibits those forms to maintain all the varied planets created by His personal potency, Yoga Maya.
My dear king, outside Lokaloka mountain is the tract of land known as Alokavarsha, which extends for the same breadth as the area within the mountain. In other words, 125 million yojanas, 1 billion miles. Beyond Alokavarsha is the destination of those who aspire for liberation from the material world. It is beyond the jurisdiction of the material modes of nature, and therefore it is completely pure. Lord Krishna took Arjuna through this place to bring back the sons of Brahmana.
The sun is situated vertically in the middle of the universe, in the area between Burloka and Bhuvarloka, which is called Antariksha, outer space. The distance between the sun and the circumference of the universe is 25 koti yojanas, 2 billion miles.
The sun god is also known as Vairaja, the total material body for all living entities. Because he entered this dull egg of the universe at the time of creation, he is also called Martanda. He is also known as Hiranyagarbha because he received his material body from Hiranyagarbha, Lord Brahma.
O King, the sun god and the sun planet divide all the directions of the universe. It is only because of the presence of the sun that we can understand what the sky, the higher planets, the world, and the lower planets are. It is only because of the sun that we can understand which places are for material enjoyment and are for liberation, which are hellish and subterranean.
Okay, if we can go into 46, because this is our focus verse of the day. So we're going to do the Sanskrit and translation purport. Here we go. Devatiryan manushayanam. Devatiryan manushashuyanam. Sarisripa savirudam. Sarispa savirudam. Sarvajiva nikayanam. Sarvajiva nikayanam yayanam. Surya atma dirgisvaraha. Surya atma dirgisvaraha. Devatiran manushushulam. Sarisrapa savirudam. Sarvajiva nikayanam. Surya atma dirgisvaraha. Bolo, please. Devatiryan Marushanam Sarisrupa Sarisrudam Sarvajivam Nikayanam Surya Atma Drigisvaraha. Devatiryan Manushanam Savirudam Sarvajiya Nikayanam Sura Atma Drigisvaraha. Devatiryan Manushanam Sarishrapa Savirudam Sarvajiva Nikayanam Surya Atma Drigisvara. Word for word, please. Together, Deva of the demigods, Teriyak, the lower animals, Manushanam, and the human beings, Sarisripa, the insects and the serpents, Savirudam, and the planets and the trees, Sarvajikam Nikayanam, of all the groups of living entities, Surya, the sun god, Atma, the life and soul, Drik, of the eyes, Ishvara, the personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All living entities, including demigods, human beings, animals, birds, insects, reptiles, creepers, and trees, depend on the heat and light given by the sun god from the sun planet. Furthermore, it is because of the sun's presence that all living entities can see, and therefore he is called Drig Ispara, the personality of Godhead presiding over sight. Purport. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Shakri Thakur says, Surya Atma Atma Vinyopasyaha. The actual life and soul of all living entities within this universe is the sun. He is therefore Upasya, worshipable. We worship the sun god by chanting the Gayatri mantra, Om Bur Bhuvaha Sva Tat Savatur Vanyam Vargo Devasha Dimahi. Surya is the life and the soul of this universe, and there are innumerable universes for which a sun god is the life and soul, just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the life and soul of the entire creation. We have information that Viraja Hiranyagarbha entered the great dual material globe called the sun. This indicates that the theory held by so-called scientists that no one lives there is wrong. Bhagavad Gita also says that Krishna instructed Bhagavad Gita to the sun god, Imam Vishvase Yogam Prokatavan Aham Avyayam. Therefore, the sun is not vacant. It is inhabited by living entities, and the predominating deity is Vairaja, or Vivaswan. The difference between the sun and the earth is that the sun is a fiery planet, but everyone there has a suitable body and can live there without difficulty. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 5th canto, 20th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Studying the Structure of the Universe. So, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the sun is worshipable. And we hear in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god. Wow. How fortunate are we that in this universe that we live in, Brahma is a Vaishnava and the sun god's a Vaishnava. Because we're hearing right here that the sun god isn't one person, right? Anybody could have the position of the sun god. It's in every universe there is a sun, and therefore somebody can have that position as the sun god. So, as a jiva soul, they have a choice to make. They don't have to be devotees. But in our universe, Brahma and the sun god have made the choice to be devotees and have heard from Krishna. So I thought what would be nice is that, often what we do is we come together to glorify the Vaishnava, right? And we have Vyasa Pujas, and we speak about the glories of our Acharyas at Vyasa Pujas, or their disappearance, or their appearance, or disappearance, and whenever we have an opportunity in Srimad Bhagavatam. So what I thought I'd do is open it up, and we can discuss the things that we hear about Krishna as the representative of the sun god, or the glories of the sun god. Srila Prabhupada has given us so much. And we can see that throughout the Gita or the Brahma Samhita, or throughout his writings, is this connection with how wonderful the sun is and how it's a representative of Krishna. So is there anything that comes up to you guys in your head of Srila Prabhupada's teachings or the Vedic teachings about the sun god, or Krishna being the representative of the god, or Krishna, of the sun being a representative of Krishna? I don't know what I just said there. Can we give the microphone to Gokula Nanda Prabhu, please?
The wonderful analogy that Srila Prabhupada always gives, that comes to my mind, is about how there is only one God. There cannot be two gods. Right? So there is, he says, just like there is only one sun, and just because I see the sun from India, do I say this is Indian sun, or I see it from America, this is American sun? So we may keep fighting, or being situated on the bodily platform, because this body is born in such and such country, such and such place. So I misidentify myself and thinking that, this is my God, this is my faith. But just like sun is impartial to everyone.
Mm.
Without discrimination, sun is equally distributing, right, the sunlight, sunshine, and nurturing everyone. Similarly, God is he's impartial,
Mm.
and he's been equally merciful to everyone. I like that.
Beautiful example. I was thinking that this partially ties into with Bhagavad Gita 4.1, Srila Prabhupada, his purport there. Can we go to Bhagavad Gita 4.1? Just go right to the translation. Translation of the Adityas I am Vishnu, of lights I am the radiant sun, and of Maruts I am Marichi, and among the stars I am the moon. And 10:21, excuse me. Yes. Thank you. Apologies. Okay, and then in the purport, the second paragraph, among the stars, the second paragraph, among the stars the moon is the most prominent at night, and thus the moon represents Krishna. It appears from this verse that the moon is one of the stars. Therefore, the stars that twinkle in the sky also reflect the light of the sun. The theory that there are many suns within the universe is not accepted by Vedic literature. The sun is one, and is by the reflection of the sun, the moon illuminates. So also do the stars. Since Bhagavad Gita indicates here that the moon is one of the stars, the twinkling stars are not suns, but are similar to the moon. That was pretty interesting, right? Srila Prabhupada's explanation of it. Because I remember hearing that as a kid, that, look at all of these twinkling stars, they're all suns, But Vedic understanding is that there is one sun, as Gokulananda Prabhu was saying, and that represents Krishna, and that he's the one giving light. And also, I really appreciate the point that the sun is giving its light to anyone and everyone that's willing to. Anybody can go sunbathe, Nobody's stopping us. So similarly, Krishna is looking for us to look to him and take his mercy, his light. Any other examples that come to mind that Srila Prabhupada has given us? Yes. Prabhu.
Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the sun is one of his eyes and the moon is another eye.
Mm.
So when the scientists say that the stars are different suns, some of them are suns and some of them are planets. But when you look at stars at night, they all look the same, So why is it that some of them are suns and some of them are planets? Obviously, they're all planets.
Mm.
Like, look, that star over there, that's Mars, and that star over there, that's Jupiter. They'll tell you, and then they'll say, but that star over there, well, that's a sun in another universe, and it doesn't make any sense, but that's because it's against what the Bhagavatam's saying.
Mm.
The Bhagavatam says that there's only one sun, and the rest are all planets.
Mm. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Any other thoughts? One example that I really appreciate that Srila Prabhupada gives quite often is about the purification of the sun. That even urine is purified by the sun. That all of the contamination is taken away from it, and what's left is the water. So similarly, Krishna, when we turn to Krishna, although we might be contaminated in so many ways, that we'll become purified also. Those things will be, those decontaminations, we'll be decontaminated, right? All the contaminations within us will be just burnt out, you can see. So often, the Prabhupada would say, so it's like a rod in fire, right? just keep the rod in the fire, and the rod becomes the same as the fire. It becomes the same quality. So similarly, if we just stay within Krishna consciousness and stay thinking of Krishna and worshiping Krishna and chanting our mantra, our rounds, then our contact with Krishna, purification just happens. Automatically we become purified. Just like something that's nasty left out in the sun will become purified too. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts on what you just said now, and also just to add on to that, but the sun doesn't get contaminated. That's something that Prabhupada would say. It's like it's purifying, but even though it's like it's touching, urine, the sun doesn't get contaminated like the sunlight. And I was also thinking of the example that Prabhupada uses like so many times about the three features of God, right? That there's the sunlight, which is like Brahman, the all-pervasive energy of God, and then there's the sun globe, which would be like Paramatma, the localized feature, and then there's the sun god, which would be like God as a person, Bhagavan. And this is a little bit more far out, I guess, but I was thinking of the name Madhava for Krishna. It's not so much maybe the sunlight, but the heat of the sun. Like Madhava, one meaning of it is like spring, like the god of spring, like he brings spring. And so the sun, especially where I come from up north, when the spring comes and it gets sunny and it gets like the heat, that everybody gets happier and the plants come alive, everything comes alive. So it's kind of like that Krishna, and when he comes in Vrindavan, like everybody comes alive and everybody feels happy like that. So I was thinking
the light of the Bhagavatam, light of the Bhagavatam, all about these different things about spring, Krishna. I was thinking also, as you mentioned, that people get happy when the sun's coming, right, in the spring. And so in the fall, quite often what happens? People get depressed. A lot of depression happens during the fall. We're depressed that Krishna is going away or the sun's going away, the representative. Any other thoughts about Nanda Prabhu?
In the second chapter, it is said, Nitya Sarvagata Sthanu, soul is everywhere. So Prabhupada said, there are living entities on the sun planet as well, and the scientists, they have proved there's something called fire bacteria, which survives only in fire.
Any other? One thing that I was really appreciating is that if you, with Bhagavad Gita 4.1, Bhagavad Gita 2.1, and maybe you can turn to Brahma Samhita 5.52. Somebody want to read the translation when it comes up? Please.
The sun, who is the king of all the planets, full of infinite effulgence, the image of the good soul, is as the eye of this world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs his journey, mounting the wheel of time.
Right? Pretty cool, huh? So if you read these 3 verses, or these 4 verses, the one from Srimad Bhagavatam that we read today, and if you read Bhagavad Gita 4.1 and Bhagavad Gita 10.21, and then this Brahma Samhita, Srila Prabhupada quotes or gives direction to each one of these. So if you read it, it's like you're being told a story. It's really interesting because if you can, when you read Srila Prabhupada's books, you can do like that. You can read a verse, and then Srila Prabhupada will give you a verse in the purport. And so you read the verse in the purport, and then that verse will take you to another verse, and you can kind of when you start to go down that road that Srila Prabhupada is taking you, or that adventure of these different purports and different verses, and you can really start to get a perspective of where Srila Prabhupada's going in his purports. For instance, like Nectar of Instruction. In Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada gives so many quotes of different verses. And so he'll go to Bhagavad Gita, and you read Bhagavad Gita, and it will take you to Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam will take you to here. So I was finding that when I was reading through these, that this was a cool example of that Srila Prabhupada was giving us, of these different ways to travel through the Vedic literatures. Any other examples? Yes, Prabhupada Prabhu, please.
I was thinking of in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Lord Chaitanya says that Krishna is like the sun and Maya is like darkness. So just like when the sun rises, all the darkness dissipates. Then as soon as we become Krishna conscious, then all of our Maya goes away.
Yes, Prabhu.
What does it mean by the wheel of time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was actually thinking the same thing. I was really hoping that Srila Prabhupada would expand on that in the purport. Anybody can expand on this part here, that in Brahma Samhita says that in pursuance of whose order the sun performs the journey mounting the wheel of time. Anybody have an explanation on that? You want to say something?
Well,
Please.
just the idea that a wheel is always turning around and the time is always going. So there's a universal time scale, by which there's creation and then eventual destruction, and everything is happening just like clockwork, basically, just like the hand goes around the clock. It's like a wheel of time. And that the idea is that the sun is doing everything according to the system, that the time scale that Krishna ordains. That this is the time that the sun is going to rise, and this is the time that the sun is going to set, and so it's like everything is going by clockwork, and that those days and nights are they're basically signifying the movement of that wheel of time, right? That's how we measure time, is that the sun sets, the day is over, the sun rises, a new day starts. There are 7 days in a week, and 52 weeks in a year, and the years go around, and everything is just turning like that on the wheel of time, measured by the movements of the sun as ordered by the Lord who created this wheel.
Thank you. Very nice explanation.
It's also, I think I've read that from the rising of the sun in the morning till it's setting at night, another day is gone.
Yep. And tomorrow will rise again, another day, right? It's quite interesting that we look in our lives, there's so many different cycles going on, I remember one time I was asking Rompad Swami once, we were talking about the cycles of life and stuff, and so I was thinking about, or we were talking about the cycle of the universe, and I was saying that my question basically was, okay, I can notice that in my life and other people recognize in their life that we also go through cycles, right? I've heard it explained that it's like a spiral staircase that's going up, right? So the same things will happen over and over and over again, but through the soul's journey, we're experiencing them at a higher level, right? I was like, what are some cycles that we can understand to help us with our Krishna consciousness? And so I was expecting, I was hoping for some kind of I don't know, far out answer. And he's like, well, the sun rises and the sun sets every day. So we can get up in the morning and chant Hare Krishna. And the next day we can get up and chant Hare Krishna again. He was just so simple, It was like, every day we get up and we chant our rounds, right? Yeah, we can open it up, by the way, to questions, comments, answers.
Thank you. Yeah, so Hare Krishna, thank you for nice class. In text 42, they've spoken about Aloka Varsha, and then it is beyond the jurisdiction of material modes, and therefore it's completely pure. Krishna took Arjuna through this place to bring back the sons of Brahmana. And the reference is this is the destination of those who aspire for liberation from the material world. So, we talk about the liberation, those who aspire for liberation go into the effulgence of the Lord. So is this Aloka Varsha different from the effulgence of the Lord? Does anybody know?
Let's see what Srila Prabhupada says. Did you read the purport? No, there is no purport. So the question is this Aloka Varsha different from, what was the question exactly?
The effulgence.
Effulgence?
Those that aspire for liberation go into the effulgence.
Yeah, so the question basically is, if I'm not hearing you correctly, is that this is explaining of a planet of liberation. But often when we hear about liberation, we hear about the effulgence of Krishna. So what's the difference here?
I mean, are these interrelated?
Yeah.
It looks like this is also a destination of those who aspire for liberation.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure. I could try to put something together, but it would be speculation, which I'm sure you could. Interesting. Sorry. What?
Okay, I have a question. It says, we worship the sun god by chanting the Gayatri mantra. Surya is the life and soul of this universe, and there are innumerable universes for which a sun god is the life and soul, just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the life and soul of the entire creation. And we know that other civilizations have worshipped the sun. Why do we worship Krishna? Is that because we want to escape from this universe? Why don't we worship the sun?
So the Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us a perspective that the sun is a representative of Krishna, not Krishna is a representative of the sun. So, for instance, our guru, who is a jiva atma, a spirit soul, is also worshipped as Krishna, because they're both giving us the same purpose in life, devotional service. So we should understand who came from who. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me, which is pretty interesting, right? Because we can see that the sun is emanating such effulgence, right? But Krishna says, I'm even the source of that effulgence. So we worship Krishna because he's the source of everything. He's the most beauty, he's the most famous, he's the most attractive, Krishna. And the sun god is a devotee of Krishna who we can worship as a representative of Krishna. But we should worship them in that perspective, because our intention is important when we are doing anything. If we worship the sun god as the supreme person, then that is going to give us a different result than worshiping the sun as we have today, and speaking of him as a devotee of Krishna. So when we are speaking and glorifying the sun god as a devotee of Krishna, then we're getting, this is bhakti yoga. This is the supreme benefit. But if we're worshiping the sun god for some material reason and not seeing his connection with Krishna, then it just falls short. It becomes some kind of karma kanda or some kind of karmic activity. Does that answer your question? Anybody else want to expand on that, or?
That's wonderful. I would just like to add one more thing. Like Srimad said, that famous verse, Yata Taror Mula Nishechana, Tripandita Skanda Pujopashaka. Just like when we water the root of the tree, all the limbs of the tree are automatically nourished. Or when you feed the stomach, then all of the limbs of the body are automatically nurtured. Similarly, sun is the limb or a part of the body, universal body of Krishna. So devotees are very clever, and they want to water the root of the tree.
One thing that is nice about a devotee, in the sense of our sun god here in this universe, is what they'll do is they'll accept our worship and they'll make some kind of situation where we start to understand that Krishna is the supreme person. For instance, like Lord Shiva, who's the greatest of devotees of Krishna. If we're a worshiper of Lord Shiva, he'll accept our worship and reciprocate us with us accordingly. But eventually he'll start turning us to Krishna. So, you can imagine that the people who are worshiping the sun god are actually getting quite a bit of benefit, because that person, the sun god, will turn him to Krishna. But Krishna still says in the Bhagavad Gita, the person who worships the demigod, who's the all in all, is not very smart. They don't understand who all of their benediction or their benefits of worship come from me. And so he's saying, please have the right perspective of how to worship or appreciate anybody, to be honest. We can appreciate anybody and understand that they're, what they have is coming from Krishna. However, that doesn't say that when we worship a person in connection with Krishna as a great devotee, there's even much more benefit. It kicks it up a notch, you could say. Okay, that's 8:33. Oh, Mishra Bhagavan Prabhu.
Did Aloka Varsha mean the planets?
The what?
Well, it says that it's Aloka Varsha is where Lord Krishna took Arjuna.
Yes.
To bring back the sons of the Brahmin.
Yeah.
Find that story right now. It's in Krishna book towards the end.
Amazing story.
If I remember correctly, it's a Vaikuntha planet. Just in relation to her question. Do you know that story?
I do. I really wanted to go through it, but we didn't have enough time. It's a beautiful story. Maybe at breakfast time we can get it around the table. We can hear the story of Arjuna going to get the sons of the Brahmin. Okay, listen there. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sridhar Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Brahmanande Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo. Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Antikoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.